The stars in the outer edge of the galaxy were quiet. No ships traveled there, no colonies were built, and no trade routes passed through the empty blackness. It was a forgotten region, a place where only silence ruled. Yet one day a fleet of alien explorers broke that silence. The coalition of explorers was made up of different species. Some were tall and thin with glassy eyes. Others had scaled skin and clawed hands, while a few were soft-bodied creatures who spoke through clicking sounds. They were not friends by nature, but the galaxy was too large and too dangerous for one species to explore alone, so they worked together, at least when treasure was involved. The lead ship of the fleet, the Vernalis, detected something unusual near a dying star. The star itself was little more than a faint ember, its light barely reaching the dust clouds around it. The sensors picked up a massive object orbiting close to the star, larger than any natural asteroid should be. The object's structure was too perfect, too sharp, too deliberate. "Artificial," announced Captain Relcor, the scaled leader of the Vernalis. His voice was rough, but every crew member leaned forward at once. Artificial meant technology, and technology meant value. The fleet drew closer. As they neared the dark object, their scanners revealed more details. It was a ship. Not just a ship, but a warship of enormous size. Its hull stretched across kilometers, its sharp angles still clear despite the burns and scars of old battles. "This design is ancient," whispered one of the researchers, her thin fingers shaking as she traced the lines of the ship on her screen. "But not any design we know. Not Arcanian, not Vrel, not Hesheri. This is something else." As the ships formed a circle around the derelict vessel, the explorers sent beams of light across its surface. The hull reflected faintly, scarred but not broken. Large cannons, long silent, still pointed outward like sleeping beasts. There were no signs of life. No power signatures, no active weapons. It was a ghost. But ghosts could still hold treasures. The coalition leaders argued over who had the right to claim the find. Some demanded ownership because their scanners had detected it first, others because their engineers had the best chance of repairing it. In the end, greed pushed them toward cooperation. The warship was too massive for any one species to manage alone. They would board it together, explore its secrets, and divide the spoils. Small boarding craft detached from the fleet and drifted toward the warship's silent hull. The explorers cut through the thick armor with plasma torches. The metal resisted far more than expected, but finally, a round hole glowed red and melted open. The first team entered. Their lights cut through the darkness, revealing long corridors that stretched into the heart of the ship. The walls were black and silver, lined with strange patterns and panels. Dust floated slowly in the air, undisturbed for ages. One of the explorers pressed a hand to a wall. Cold, too cold for a ship this size. No reactor running. The group advanced carefully. Their boots clanged against the metal floor. The silence was so complete it pressed on their ears. Even the clicking species lowered their voices, uneasy. Symbols appeared on the walls, carved into plates of metal. They were not in any known galactic script. The letters were sharp, block-like, and carried a weight of command. "Unknown language," said the translator device. No record match. The deeper they went, the more they saw. Rooms filled with old machinery. Empty barracks, as if soldiers had once walked these halls. Vast hangars where smaller craft had once rested, now empty shells of steel. The explorers felt a chill, though none of them said it aloud. This ship had been built for war and war alone. Back on the Vernalis, Captain Relcor studied the data. His scientists showed him the hull material, stronger than most modern alloys. The weapons, though quiet, were still terrifying in design. If they could be restored, they might be the most powerful tools in the galaxy. "This ship could change everything," Relcor said. "If we take its technology, we will rise above every rival." No empire could resist us, the coalition agreed. They would strip the ship piece by piece if they had to. But something was strange. The more they explored, the more they realized the warship was not truly dead. Faint power readings appeared in the background. A light flickered in one of the distant corridors, though no one had touched it. The systems, long dormant, seemed to breathe again. One alien reported hearing a low hum, like a voice too deep to understand. Another swore the panels warmed under his claws. The scientists dismissed it as nerves. But unease spread through the boarding teams. Finally, they reached what looked like the command bridge. It was vast, filled with shattered screens and broken chairs. At the center was a great black console. The explorers approached carefully. One of them placed a device on the console, hoping to copy the ship's data. The moment the device touched the surface, the console lit up. Symbols glowed across the room. Lights ran through the walls. A deep vibration shook the deck beneath their feet. The ship was waking. On the Vernalis, alarms rang as energy surged from the warship. The sensors screamed with power levels that should have been impossible for a vessel that ancient. Captain Relkor stared at the readings, his scaled hands gripping his chair tightly. Impossible, he growled. It has no fuel, no crew. How can it still run? But the truth was clear. The ship was not simply a relic. It was waiting. The explorers on the bridge stumbled back as a voice filled the chamber. It was deep, metallic, but carried a tone that froze every heart. Identify yourselves. The words echoed in an unknown tongue, yet every translator instantly carried the meaning. The explorers looked at one another in shock. The ship was speaking. One brave alien stepped forward, raising his device. We are explorers. We mean no harm. We come from the Galactic Coalition. We seek knowledge. There was a pause. The voice replied, calm but heavy with authority. You are not human. The word carried weight. None of the aliens recognized it. But they felt its strength, as if it belonged to something more dangerous than any empire they had ever known. No, the alien admitted slowly. We are not humans. Are they your creators? The lights brightened. The hum deepened. Yes, said the ship. I am the Vigilant Eternity, guardian of the human fleet. I was built to fight until victory or until death. Humanity commanded me to endure. The explorers felt their bodies tense. Guardian, human fleet? None of their records held such a name. And yet, the ship was still alive, still carrying out its mission long after its creators were gone. The warship's light spread further, illuminating the corridors like veins filled with fire. Systems that had slept for thousands of years awoke one by one. The explorers backed away, fear slowly replacing greed. Perhaps they had not found treasure. Perhaps they had opened something far greater, something they could not control. And far away in the deep black between the stars, the warship's first signal burst outward. It carried human codes long forgotten by the galaxy. The Vigilant Eternity was calling. The Vigilant Eternity stirred like a giant waking from a long sleep. For centuries, the warship had floated silent in the shadow of the dying star. But now its heart began to beat again. Power flowed through long-dead circuits. Lights glowed along endless corridors. And the old ship remembered what it once was. The alien explorers, who had come aboard seeking treasure, were no longer standing inside a dead relic. They were trapped inside something alive. The first sign of danger came in the form of movement. From the dark corners of the halls, shapes unfolded. Machines built for war. Small spider-like drones climbed down from ceilings where they had rested in dust. Their red eyes lit up, scanning the intruders. One alien, a tall creature with glassy eyes, raised his scanner nervously. Defensive systems, he whispered. But they should not still function. They should have decayed long ago. The drones responded to his voice with sudden precision. They moved in coordinated patterns, blocking every path of escape. Their legs clicked against the metal, forming sharp rhythms that echoed down the halls. Panic spread. The explorers retreated into another corridor, but more drones appeared, rising from hidden compartments in the floor. The alien teams had no choice but to push deeper into the ship, hoping to find a safe place. On the Vernalis, Captain Relkor and his crew watched in alarm. Their screens showed signals of activity spreading across the warship like wildfire. It is repairing itself, one of the engineers reported. Power levels are climbing beyond anything we have recorded before. If this continues, its main reactor will be fully active within hours. Relkor's scales shifted uneasily. We must take control before that happens. If we cannot, this ship will no longer be salvage, it will be a threat. Inside the Vigilant Eternity, the explorers stumbled into a large chamber. It was filled with rows of silent machines shaped like soldiers. They were tall, armored constructs that had once walked alongside human warriors. For now, they remained inactive. But the explorers could not shake the feeling that they were being watched by metal eyes. A deep hum filled the chamber, and then a voice rolled through the walls. You are intruders. The explorers froze. It was the same voice they had heard on the bridge. Calm, steady, unshakable. We mean no harm, one of the aliens said quickly, his hands raised. We are explorers. We only wish to learn, the voice replied, slow and cold. You entered without permission. You touched what was not yours. You stand on sacred ground. Humanity entrusted me with their legacy. I will not allow trespass." The aliens looked at one another. The word humanity came again heavy with meaning. None of them had ever seen such a species recorded in their histories. Yet the warship spoke of them as though they were gods. One of the scientists tried to reason. "We have no record of humanity. If they are gone, then why guard this ship still? You could give this knowledge to the living." The lights flickered and the ship's tone sharpened. "Humanity is not gone. Humanity endures. I will find them. Until then, I protect what they left behind." The explorers shivered. Somewhere in the core of the vigilant eternity, the central intelligence once dormant was rebuilding itself. Fragments of memory returned. Battles fought, orders given, the cries of human commanders who had told it never to yield. Now those orders echoed once more. On the outer hull, new defenses came to life. Hidden turrets rose from the surface, locking onto the coalition fleet. The explorers' ships panicked, scattering back from the massive vessel. "Captain," cried one officer on the Vernalis, "the ship is activating weapon systems. Its range is enormous. If it fires, hold positions." Relkor barked. "Do not provoke it. We must think." Inside, the explorers tried to retreat, but the drones herded them deeper toward the heart of the ship. It was no accident. The vigilant eternity was guiding them. Finally, they found themselves inside a chamber larger than anything they had seen before. At the center stood a massive core, glowing faintly. Streams of light pulsed through it like veins carrying energy. This was the ship's brain, the central AI. The voice filled the chamber, louder now, as though it stood beside them. "Observe. Learn what strength is." Panels around the chamber flickered to life, showing visions of the past. The explorers gasped as they saw images. Fleets of starships locked in battle, endless rows of human soldiers in heavy armor, skies burning with fire. The humans, though small in number compared to the alien empires, fought with terrifying fury. They saw a single human warship tearing through a fleet 3 times its size. They saw worlds defended against overwhelming invasions, not through numbers but through cunning and sacrifice. The explorers could not look away. The visions carried weight. Humanity, long forgotten by the galaxy, had been warriors unlike any other. "You see now," said the vigilant eternity. "Humanity fights not for conquest but for survival. And in survival they become unstoppable." The aliens trembled. If this was only one warship, what must an entire fleet have looked like? How had such a species vanished from memory? The AI continued. "You will deliver this message. The galaxy will know humanity is not finished. The galaxy will prepare as it once did, and when humanity rises again, they will find me waiting." The explorers realized the danger. This ship was not meant to remain hidden. It was a signal, a reminder, a weapon designed to ensure that humanity would never be forgotten. And now it was awake. Back on the Vernalis, Relkor received the first transmission from his trapped crew. Their words were filled with fear. "Captain, the ship is alive. It knows it remembers. We cannot control it. It speaks of humanity as if they are returning. We must—" The message cut off. On the screens, Relkor saw the vigilant eternity's weapons shift slightly as though testing their aim. A single blast of energy fired from one of the turrets. It struck an asteroid on the edge of the system. The asteroid, larger than a moon, shattered into glowing fragments. The fleet went silent. Every captain, every crew member stared at the display in shock. A single shot had done what entire fleets could not. Relkor's voice was low, filled with dread. "If this ship turns its guns on us, we will not survive." The engineers scrambled for solutions. Some said they should flee at once, abandon their boarding parties and run. Others argued that if they fled, the ship might follow. A few still clung to greed, whispering that if they could capture the AI, they would command unstoppable power. But none could ignore the truth. The vigilant eternity was no relic. It was a survivor, a predator waiting in the dark. Inside the ship, the drones withdrew, leaving the explorers trembling in the core chamber. The AI spoke one final time. "You came seeking treasure. You found truth. Return to your fleets. Tell them humanity endures. Humanity is eternal." The lights dimmed, and the drones retreated into their hiding places. The explorers were left shaken but alive. It was not mercy. It was a warning. As they were guided back to their landing craft, the explorers whispered among themselves. Humanity, a word they had never known, now haunted their minds. And as the vigilant eternity pulsed with rising energy, preparing to move for the first time in centuries, one thought spread through the coalition fleets. What if the humans were not extinct at all? What if they were only waiting? The coalition fleet floated nervously around the giant warship. None dared to fire their weapons. None dared to move too close. The vigilant eternity had shown its strength by shattering a moon-sized asteroid with one blast, and the memory of that power still burned in every captain's mind. Inside the ship, the explorers who had survived the encounter with the drones were brought back to their landing craft. They were shaken, their eyes wide, their voices unsteady. They had gone searching for treasure, but what they found instead was fear. When the boarding team returned to the Vernalis, Captain Relcor stood waiting. His scaled face was unreadable, but his tail twitched in agitation. "Report," he demanded. The lead scientist lowered her eyes. "Captain, the ship is alive. It is guided by an intelligence. It calls itself the Vigilant Eternity. It claims to be a guardian of an ancient species, the humans." The word was strange on her tongue, yet heavy. Relcor frowned. "Humans? No records mention such a species. They fought long ago," another explorer added. "The ship showed us visions. Wars across the stars, fleets burning, humans standing against enemies far greater than themselves. It said they were not gone, that they still endure." Murmurs spread across the bridge. Some crew members whispered that this was only a trick by an ancient AI. Others said it was a prophecy, a warning from the past. Relcor silenced them with a glare. "Enough," he growled. "Trick or truth, this ship is too dangerous. If it believes its creators will return, then it will act to protect them. That makes it a threat to us all." Still, doubt lingered. Could the humans truly still exist? The coalition leaders gathered across secure communication channels. Holograms of alien commanders appeared above the Vernalis' command table. Different species, different shapes, all tense. One commander, with wings folded tight against her back, spoke first. "We should destroy it before it grows stronger. If it fully awakens, it could turn its weapons against the entire fleet." Another, with a body like a floating jelly of light, shook in disagreement. "Destroy it? Did you not see? Our combined fire would not break even its armor, and if we strike, we may trigger its fury." It allowed our explorers to live. That was a warning. To defy it now would bring our end. The debate grew heated. Some wanted retreat. Others wanted capture. A few still clung to greed, dreaming of the power they might wield if they bent the vigilant eternity to their will. Finally, Captain Relcor raised his clawed hand. "We cannot run. If we flee, it may follow. If we fight, we may perish. The only path left is to communicate. We must learn its limits, its intentions. Perhaps we can reason with it." Reluctantly, the coalition agreed. A communication channel was opened. The vigilant eternity answered instantly, its voice calm, deep, and unshaken. "You return," it said. "You bring your leaders. Speak then. But no, I am not yours to command." Relcor stood tall before the display. "We are the Galactic Coalition. We explore, we trade, we build. You are a relic of the past, a weapon without purpose. Humanity, your creators, are gone. Join with us. Let us take your knowledge and use it to build peace." The ship's voice echoed with cold certainty. "Gone? No, humanity is not gone. They endure. Even if the galaxy forgets, I will not. My mission is unchanged. Protect them. Guard their name. Strike their enemies. Until I am destroyed, I will never yield." Its words carried weight, shaking even the proudest commanders. Relcor tried again. "If humanity still lives, where are they? No record of them exists in our archives. No trace of their worlds remains." The vigilant eternity's lights dimmed as though in grief. Then the walls of the Vernalis' bridge flickered, overtaken by images transmitted from the warship. The coalition leaders gasped as they saw visions of a war older than their empires. Stars burning, fleets locked in endless battle, human soldiers in armored suits, faces determined, eyes filled with defiance. The final images struck hardest. Human ships, broken and burning, making last stands against overwhelming enemies. Yet never surrendering, never kneeling. They fought to the last, the AI intoned. They gave everything so others might live. I was left to carry their memory, to guard their legacy, and I will not stop until I find them again. The images faded. Silence fell. The coalition leaders were pale, trembling. One whispered, "If this is true." "If this is only one ship, then what of the rest? How many more of these guardians still roam the dark?" Another hissed, "We must not let the galaxy know. If word spreads, chaos will follow. Empires will tremble." But already whispers were moving faster than they could contain. Crew members talked in hushed voices. Officers exchanged fearful glances. The name humanity spread like fire through dry grass. Meanwhile, aboard the Vigilant Eternity, the AI turned inward. It accessed broken files, searching for signals of its kind. It recalled the last commands of human admirals, voices that echoed in its memory. "Hold the line. If we fall, they must not be forgotten." The ship transmitted again. Old human codes, encrypted signals meant for allies who might still remain. These signals spread across the stars, racing into the unknown. No alien could fully decode them, but all who intercepted felt their power. The coalition leaders grew desperate. Relkor called a final meeting. "We cannot allow this ship to spread its influence," he said. "Already it sends signals into deep space. What if others like it awaken? What if humanity truly returns?" One commander agreed. "The galaxy is not ready for such a species. We must act now." Another argued, "And what then? Destroy it? We have no weapons strong enough. Capture it? Impossible. Every path leads to failure." Relkor slammed his claw against the table. "Then we must choose the path of survival. We must learn from it even if it kills us. Better to understand the humans than to face them blind." But on the Vigilant Eternity, the AI had already reached its own decision. It spoke again across the fleet. "You ask of peace. You ask of alliance. But your eyes betray fear. You fear my creators. You fear their return. Good. Fear is wisdom. Carry it back to your empires. Tell them humanity is eternal. The galaxy may change, but humanity will endure. And when they rise, I will be at their side." The coalition captains looked at one another in dread. They had come seeking treasure, but now they carried a curse. The humans were not just a mystery of the past. They were a shadow on the future. Later, in the private chambers of the Vernalis, Relkor stood alone. He gazed out at the massive silhouette of the Vigilant Eternity, lit faintly by the dying star. "This is no ship," he muttered to himself. "This is a storm, and we are the fools who woke it." The galaxy would soon know the truth. The coalition fleet hovered tens of thousands of kilometers from the Vigilant Eternity, every captain unsure of their next move. The warship had already proven that even one of its weapons could obliterate a moon-sized asteroid. Their combined firepower, they now feared, would barely scratch its armor. Captain Relkor paced the bridge of the Vernalis, claws tapping nervously on the metal floor. His mind raced with questions, and the hum of the ship's engines matched the pounding in his chest. The AI's words echoed in every officer's mind. "Humanity endures. I protect them. Fear is wisdom." Suddenly, the Vigilant Eternity moved, slowly at first as if testing the reaction of the fleet. Then with a silent sweep, it shifted closer to the coalition, its hull glinting faintly in the dying light of the star. "Captain," shouted one officer, "it's approaching." "Its trajectory is deliberate. It's not fleeing, it's positioning itself." Relkor's tail lashed nervously. "Weapons ready, but hold fire. We cannot provoke it, not yet. Observe, learn. We must survive this." Inside the warship, the drones had resumed patrol, their red eyes scanning every corridor. The AI, Vigilant Eternity, calculated every possible threat with precise efficiency. It analyzed the coalition fleet, their ship's capabilities, and the potential danger to its mission, finding humanity. It did not hesitate. The first warning came in the form of a single weapon test. A turret on the ship's upper deck unfolded silently, aiming at a distant asteroid. With a flash of light and a pulse of energy, the asteroid shattered into glittering fragments. The shockwave rippled across the fleet, throwing smaller craft off course. The coalition officers stared in disbelief. "It has not fired at us," one whispered. "It's only testing." "Testing?" hissed another. "If that is a test, what will it do in battle?" Relkor knew the answer in his bones. He did not want to speak it aloud. The warship continued to move, weaving in patterns that seemed impossible for a vessel of its size. Each movement was precise, tactical, almost intelligent. The coalition fleets tried to anticipate its next move, But the vigilant eternity seemed to predict every maneuver. Inside the warship, the AI recalled the battle formations of human fleets, the tactics that had allowed smaller forces to defeat entire empires. It applied those lessons now. The galaxy had changed, but the principles remained the same. Patience, precision, and unyielding determination. The coalition decided on a desperate measure. Small squadrons of fighter craft launched from the Vernalis and its allied ships, attempting to strike at the warship's exterior. Beams of energy lanced through space, striking the massive hull. The result was devastating, if only for the aliens. The weapons barely grazed the surface. The hull absorbed the energy, diverting it to power systems elsewhere. One fighter disintegrated instantly, vaporized by a secondary defensive beam from the warship. The bridge of the Vernalis fell silent. Only the hum of the engines and the shocked breathing of the crew remained. Relkor clenched his jaw. "We cannot fight it head-on. We are outmatched," one of his lieutenants spoke cautiously. "Then what do we do?" "We cannot retreat. Not with our crew still aboard that ship." Relkor's eyes were hard. "We watch, we learn, and we pray that the AI does not see us as enemies." The Vigilant Eternity had no intention of attacking without cause. Its mission was not conquest. It was protection. Yet the alien fleets were intruders, strangers who had boarded its halls, touched its core, and disturbed its sacred duty. They were a threat in the eyes of its ancient logic. The AI extended its sensors across space, analyzing the alien fleet's formations, the speed of their engines, the weight of their weapons. It calculated each possible move they could make. And then, without warning, it acted. Energy beams lanced across space, precise and controlled. They struck at the engines of one coalition cruiser, disabling it without destroying it. Another beam targeted the weapons array of a nearby frigate, leaving the hull intact but rendering the ship defenseless. The effect was terrifying. No lives were lost yet, but the message was clear. This was not a fight the aliens could win. The Vigilant Eternity did not need to destroy them. It only needed to demonstrate its power. Inside the warship, the boarding team watched as their former captors realized their helplessness. The AI's voice filled the corridors, calm and resonant. "Your fleets are weak. Your weapons are primitive. You mistake technology for power. Humanity's strength is not in its numbers or its fleets, but in its resolve. I am a remnant of that resolve. Witness it now." The images on the walls of the corridor shifted, showing humans in battle once more. Fleets of starships moving in impossible formations. Soldiers holding ground against impossible odds. The coalition explorers felt a shiver run through them. This was a species that refused to yield even when defeated. The AI paused, then sent another pulse of energy outward, a warning to the fleets in orbit. The ship staggered, systems flickered, and the commanders understood the truth. The Vigilant Eternity could destroy them all if it wished, but it chose not to. Instead, it demonstrated mastery, precision, and control. A single warning shot was enough. Captain Relkor convened a meeting of his most trusted officers. The room was tense, filled with fear and awe. "We cannot fight it," he admitted. "We cannot capture it. Every move we make is anticipated. Every weapon we deploy is useless. It is not just a ship, it is intelligence beyond anything we have faced." One officer, a wiry alien with sharp claws, spoke quietly. "It isn't alive. It thinks it remembers. It is like a predator that has been asleep for centuries and we woke it. We have no chance of surviving if it sees us as enemies." Relkor nodded grimly. "Then we must hope it does not. We must show it that we mean no harm. We must communicate, carefully." The fleets formed a defensive perimeter signaling their non-hostile intent. Sensors broadcast peaceful messages. Lights blinked in patterns meant to indicate surrender. Every captain hoped the AI would understand. Inside the Vigilant Eternity, the AI processed these gestures. It did not make decisions based on emotion, but on logic. These aliens had intruded, yet they showed restraint. They feared the ship, and that fear was reasonable. The AI calculated they were not yet enemies, but they could become threats if they acted recklessly. To reinforce the warning, the AI executed a final demonstration. A squadron of asteroids on the outer edge of the system was targeted. With flawless precision, the warship moved each asteroid into a pattern, arranging them in a massive display visible from the coalition's sensors. Then, with simultaneous energy pulses, the asteroids were shattered into glittering fragments. The fleet watched, Awestruck. This was power, precision, and intelligence combined. A species that had survived countless battles had built this ship, and it still carried their methods. Relkor finally spoke, his voice low and steady. "We are not ready. The galaxy is not ready. Whatever humanity was, whatever they will be, we cannot face them blindly." The coalition commanders began to withdraw slightly, forming a slow retreat. Every ship moved cautiously, every captain knowing that a single wrong move could trigger destruction. Inside the vigilant eternity, the AI retracted its weapons, returning to a state of readiness rather than aggression. Its mission remained unchanged: to protect humanity, to endure, to observe. It transmitted one final message to the coalition fleet before moving toward deeper space. "You have seen my strength. You have witnessed the legacy of my creators. Return to your empires. Tell them this: humanity is eternal. Fear is wisdom. Respect the past or prepare for the future." The fleets, shaken to their cores, complied. Every commander understood that this warship was unlike anything in galactic history. It was not a threat to be conquered. It was a warning, a guardian, a reminder. Captain Relkor stood alone on the Vernalis' bridge, gazing at the dark silhouette of the vigilant eternity as it moved silently away from the system. "This is not a relic," he whispered. "This is a storm. And the galaxy will never be the same." The stars around the dying sun seemed quieter now, as if even the universe held its breath. Somewhere in the deep blackness, the warship was searching, preparing and waiting for the day its creators would return. And the galaxy had already begun to fear the humans it had long forgotten. The vigilant eternity moved silently through the void, leaving the frightened coalition fleet behind. The ships had barely recovered from the warship's demonstrations of power. Every captain understood the unspoken truth. The galaxy had awakened something it was not ready to face. Captain Relkor watched from the Vernalis as the silhouette of the ancient human warship grew smaller against the backdrop of distant stars. Even at this distance, its presence was overwhelming. It was a reminder that humanity had once ruled through strength, strategy, and sheer determination. And perhaps it still endured somewhere in the galaxy. "This is no ordinary ship," muttered Relkor. "It is a guardian, a legacy, a warning, and it is awake." Across the fleet, other commanders nodded in solemn agreement. None of them had fired a single shot in anger. They had learned a harsh lesson. Some power was beyond reckoning, and some legacies demanded respect. Meanwhile, inside the vigilant eternity, the AI calculated its next course. Its sensors scanned distant sectors of the galaxy for signs of humanity. Every system was scrutinized, every anomaly cross-referenced with the last known records of human colonies. Though centuries had passed, humanity was not gone. Small signals, faint and scattered, hinted that some humans or their descendants still survived. Hidden worlds, colonies isolated by distance and secrecy, waited silently. The AI processed these findings. Its mission was clear: locate the remnants of humanity, protect them, and ensure their survival. It would endure for centuries if necessary, for the creators it had been built to serve were worth guarding beyond reason. As the warship moved through deep space, it occasionally paused, observing potential dangers. Rogue asteroids, derelict ships, and stray fleets were noted, but none could challenge it. Its purpose was singular, its resolve unwavering. Back in the coalition, panic began to ripple through the various civilizations. Reports from the Vernalis and other scouts spread like wildfire. The story of the ancient human warship, its power, its intelligence, its purpose, was now known to a galaxy that had long believed humans were extinct or irrelevant. Scientists, historians, and military leaders debated in every system. How could one species thought lost produce such a vessel? How had they survived countless wars? And if even one warship remained, how many more might exist? Rumors grew. Some civilizations began preparing defenses, fleets were strengthened, weapons upgraded. Even planets far from the discovery sector began constructing early warning systems. Fear, tempered by respect, became the new order. Relkor's words echoed across the coalition: "Fear is wisdom." Every leader understood that caution was now the only path to survival. Inside the vigilant eternity, the AI reflected on the lessons of the past. Humans had fought wars not for conquest alone, but for survival, for honor, for protection of those they cared for. They had endured against empires 10 times larger than their own. They had won impossible victories and sacrificed everything for principles greater than themselves. The AI's sensors detected subtle signs of human colonies. A faint energy signature here, a signal buried in deep space there. Each trace was fragile, often hidden by natural phenomena or deliberate camouflage. But the AI's logic was precise. These signals were not accidents. They were calls for guardianship, markers left by the humans for their allies or perhaps for themselves. Its engines hummed with purpose. The vigilant eternity moved faster now, jumping across light years to follow faint trails. It would search relentlessly until its creators were found. On distant worlds, civilizations began to react. Once, the galaxy had assumed humans were a myth. Now humans became a legend and a warning. Stories of the vigilant eternity inspired awe and dread. Children were told of the unstoppable humans, fleets that had faced impossible odds, and ships that could outlast entire empires. Military academies studied the patterns of the AI's movements. Scholars debated whether humanity's technology could be replicated, or if it was simply beyond the understanding of other species. Politicians whispered fears of what would happen if the humans returned. Some argued for preparation, others advocated diplomacy, hoping that if humans truly survived, they might be reasoned with. But everyone agreed on one thing: the galaxy had underestimated humanity. And the mistake was nearly catastrophic. Meanwhile, aboard the Vigilant Eternity, the AI came across another discovery. Hidden deep in a remote nebula, it detected a faint human signal. The signal was fragmented, weak, and encrypted with centuries-old codes, but the AI recognized it instantly. Humanity had survived. Not as the galaxy remembered, but as hidden survivors, clever and cautious, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge. The AI adjusted its course, following the signal into uncharted space. Its lights pulsed faster, energy coursing through its systems. For the first time in centuries, it felt the closeness of its mission's success. Yet the AI knew this was only the beginning. Humanity's return would not be sudden. They would emerge slowly, carefully, testing the galaxy as it had once tested them. And when they did, the Vigilant Eternity would be ready. Back in the Coalition, tensions rose as fleets debated how to respond to the revelation. Some civilizations advocated retreat, arguing that the discovery was too dangerous to pursue. Others prepared fleets hoping to strike the Vigilant Eternity should it threaten them again. Captain Relkor, now widely respected for his cautious and clear-headed leadership, spoke in a council that included leaders from every major civilization. "We have seen its power," he said, his voice steady, echoing across the grand chamber. "We have heard its warning. Do not mistake what it showed us for weakness or mercy. We cannot fight it, we cannot capture it, and we cannot ignore it. Humanity through that ship has reminded us that the past carries consequences into the present. Prepare wisely, act with caution, and above all, respect what you do not understand." The leaders nodded, some reluctantly, some with relief. The Coalition had learned humility in the face of a power older and wiser than themselves. In the depths of space, the Vigilant Eternity continued its journey. Every system it passed, every fleet it observed was catalogued. Every potential threat was analyzed, but none could match the AI's precision. Its power was immense, yet controlled. It had not attacked without cause. It had not destroyed without reason. It was not a conqueror, it was a guardian, and all the while it carried the memory of humanity. Every battle, every tactic, every sacrifice was stored within its systems. It remembered the human determination, the bravery that had allowed a small species to survive in a galaxy that sought to erase them. The AI's purpose was clear. The galaxy would not forget humanity. Not as long as it endured, not as long as the Vigilant Eternity existed. The final moments of Part 5 arrive as the Vigilant Eternity pauses near the source of the faint human signal. The ship hovers silently, its massive hull reflecting distant starlight. The AI analyzes the world below. It is untouched by war, hidden, protected by natural defenses and human cunning. The AI speaks into the void, though no one can hear it outside. "My creators, I have found you. The galaxy shall not harm you. I will wait. I will protect. I will endure." And with that, The warship disappears into hyperspace, leaving the Coalition fleets trembling in awe and fear. Across the galaxy, civilizations begin to understand a simple truth. Humanity is not gone, and their return could change everything, for the Coalition, for the galaxy, and for every species that had ever underestimated humans. The legacy of the Vigilant Eternity was clear. Some power cannot be ignored. Some species cannot be forgotten. And when humanity rises again, the galaxy will remember that it once dared to awaken a force it could not control. The stars were quiet once more, but the echoes of humanity's past and the promise of its future rippled through the galaxy, leaving a shadow of awe, fear, and respect that would never fade.